Right. So yes, and the session is being recorded. So just for me to understand that, right? So automotive diagnostics, Deepak, it is very closely related, right? So these are very closely related. You need one to do the other. So the course will also cover a lot of portions from the automotive ECU course as well, but it is not exactly the automotive ECUs. So this is a standard resume that I give people. I tell them that I run RainLab Technologies. I work with BITS Pilani. I work with UCAL Fuel Systems. I've done. I did the fuel. I mean, I did the carburetor to fuel injection conversion for Royal Enfield. We did for Bajaj. We did for TVS. So all of these things, what you see on my resume is basically like. What people like see in the front, right? So that's what I tell people. But if you were to come to this particular line here, right, which basically, I mean, I think one, two, three, fourth line, what you see here, which basically tells me about the grassroots experience, right? So this grassroots experience, what it actually means is, I've been able to come where I've reached this point because I started on the workshop side, right? I used to be building cars. I mean, building cars in the sense we used to be building cars for races, and we still, even today, I'm sitting in the garage today. I didn't want to go sit in the conference hall or anything. I'm sitting at the garage, and whatever I know, whatever I've done, wherever I've reached to this point, it's primarily because I had a garage, I still have a garage, and I know how to work on these cars with my own hands. So someone comes to me and tells me, I want to develop an autonomous vehicle, and how do you handle the steering mechanism for it? So because I've been here, I've kind of like been able to imagine how the steering system works. I've been able to build control modules for it. I've been able to like make it into autonomous systems. So pretty much, if you ask me what actually helped me do all these things, whatever you see on my resume, it's just that I've started from the grassroots. I know how to service a car. I can maintain my own car on my own. We build turbocharged cars. We take them onto the racetrack. We brake, we race, we do all those things. So this is how important that automotive diagnostics is for me. And this is basically me talking to you from my own experience. And it is not just that I've put together a course and I'm coming here and I'm trying to sell this course to you, right? So there's a lot more to this than just something simply as that. So that's what I'm here to share with you guys, right? So before we go into anything at all, right, so the first thing you need to understand is, most people tend to think of automotive servicing as a very small time job. So I mean, I've faced it, to be very frank. I've faced it. People are like, okay, so you are a mechanic. I tell them, no, I'm not a mechanic. Yeah, though you could call me that, I'm much more than that. I'm what you would call as a diagnostics technician, because I understand quite a lot more than what a typical mechanic can understand. I tried telling them, and finally, it was when like I started landing the OEM job roles. When UCAL called me to convert the Royal Enfield 350 to fuel injection, when they wanted me to continue working on TVS, on Bajaj bikes, that's when people started understanding that it's not just sufficient to be an engineering graduate. You need to have hands-on experience, right? So that's basically what I've done, and this is me trying to tell you about why I still think, why I still run a garage, and why we are still so invested in this particular sector. Is very simply because this sector, automotive service sector, is actually as big as even your IT service. I mean, even your automotive engineering service sector, right? So, automotive engineering service is basically all your companies which get projects from automotive OEMs and they execute it and things like that. To be very honest with you, automotive servicing is almost as big as that, right? In India, it is a 34,000 crore rupee industry. Basically, like, see, the reason why we look at how big a market is because when you start off new, only if the market is big, you will be able to get a very small share initially, right? Maybe the market is 34,000 crores. I get a 1 crore, market share in it. So I make a revenue of 1 crore every year, and I probably make a profit of about 30 to 40 lakhs on it. So that is how you consider these things. And of the 34,000 crore industry, why is it that I think that an individual like you or me can actually put up a small garage and still survive is very simply because none of the guys whose cars are out of the warranty, will want to go back to the OEM service center, right? You know what happens in the OEM service center, or you've at least heard of those things. You go there for a small, a grinding noise coming in, and they'll probably ask you to replace the entire transmission. You go there with a small dent in your bumper, they'll basically ask you to replace the entire bumper. So as long as your cars are in the warranty period, it is perfectly fine. But what happens like after that? How many cars in India are out of warranty? At last estimate, this was running into almost like something like about 10 or 12 million cars. Million is about 1.2 crores, 1.25 crore cars, which were like kind of out of warranty, and they are being maintained outside, right? So this is the market scenario in India, where the market is huge. There's a lot of people buying new cars, but still at the same time, what is happening is that the automotive original service centers, they are not exactly like customer oriented. They don't want to help people. They're kind of like just wanting to do a replace job. So for them, that is more important. So basically what ends up happening is a lot of customers, they look at very trustworthy people to go get their car serviced, right? So what can we do about it, right? So if you look at things, like I said, we have only about 30% of the cars out of warranty going back to the service center, which means 70% of cars which have been bought in the last 5 years are coming into the aftermarket. Not to mention that there is another 10-year-old cars which are still on the roads, which are still there in place. And the scrapping policy in India doesn't come into effect until 2024. Even if it does come, what they say is, if you want, you can scrap your old car. If the car is in a good condition, you can continue running it. That is kind of how they are proposing to set it up, right? So what's basically happening is all these customers, they're going to what we call as the friendly neighborhood garages. We call them FNGs. So I'm a friendly neighborhood garage. So in the location where I am, pretty much all the people in this locality, they come to me and leave the car for service. Now that I go service, I have people, but I still run the garage, and people come here, people get their car serviced, and I have a healthy business which is going on just because people trust me, right? They say, I go to the showroom, I asked them for a service, they said 25,000. They asked why, they said no, no, so many things have to be replaced. I tell them, no, these are good, you just replace this, your bill will be 5,000, 6,000. They're happy with it, right? So now this is the reason why, if you look at it, I don't know if you guys remember, there was something called as the Carnation, right? Jagdish Cutter had launched it. He was the Maruti's ex-MD, and he had come out and he had launched Carnation. They invested a huge amount of money. Even now, you see Mahindra First Choice, it's a multi-brand center. TVS is coming up with their own multi-brand centers. Bosch has got their Bosch multi-brand service centers. So there are a lot of these big guys trying to come into the aftermarket servicing sector. Why do you think they're doing it? It is very simply because the market share in the organized sector is very, very less. They hold less than 20% of the market share, whereas 80% of the market is still in the unorganized sector in one way or the other. Even in the unorganized sector, there are some very big players. Maybe in your hometown as well, you have seen a garage which has got about a 20 car parking space, 30 car parking space. So leave out those guys, right? Leave out those guys. Just take 60% of the market share, and you're still looking at a 20,000 crore industry where you can really, really do a lot of difference, right? So why do I keep on saying that? Why do you think I'm so confident that you can actually make a difference? Is basically because of this, right? So you might think, what happens, Reliance is getting into all the sectors. What if Reliance decides to start a multi-brand workshop? Or what if Mahindra is increasing their foot count? What if TVS is putting up more dealerships? Or what if, in case like someone like Bosch is kind of increasing it or something? So the problem, actually, what is happening is, anyone who wants to go with this franchisee center, right? Mahindra, First Choice, and Bosch, and all these things. One of the first things they ask them to do is, they say, you need to have at least 5,000 square feet on a main road, which is 100 feet wide, or something like that. And they have a lot of things like that. Now, what do you think will be the rental advance you will pay on that kind of a place? At least in Chennai, from my experience, honest experience from Chennai, my garage is about 200 meters away from the main road. On the main road, I have a friend who has a garage, whereas I pay 40,000 rupee rent, he's paying 2.5 lakh rupee rent. And that was basically a clean piece of land for which he paid a 20 lakhs advance, and he spent around 50-60 lakhs constructing over there because it was nothing was there, right? So any tier one city you go, an average franchisee center is going to invest nothing close than 1.5 to 2 crore rupees, right? Imagine 2 crore rupees they need to invest to put up a standardized workshop. Okay, well, where does the money go? 1.5 crores goes into fixed real estate investment. You are not going to get anything out from it. You still keep paying rent, right? Rents, you know how it is in the tier one cities. Tier two cities are better, but tier one cities are like it's going through the roof. And then they have to get trained manpower. So that bigger workshop, how many people do they keep getting trained people? I mean, I find it difficult to get two mechanics on full time here. But since, anyways, like we have interns, we train our own mechanics, I'm okay with it. But nowhere you get manpower. Manpower costs are going through the roof. A very well trained technician with just 4 to 5 years of experience. Okay, I'm just telling 4 to 5 years of experience. These guys get paid close to 8 lakh rupees per annum. Now, to get to 8 lakh rupees per annum, an engineering student needs to probably like work for like the same 4 to 5 years, right? That's when they hit the 35, 40 grants. I'm talking about not the IT sector, but any other sector, right? So the salary growth in the automotive sector is really high, and this is a problem for the service centers because they need to pay more, they need to set up all these things, they need to like kind of like make sure their revenues cover it, they need to like purchase 20 lakhs worth of stocks, and when do you think those stocks will get utilized? I mean, you don't know, but if you go get a dealership in Bosch for the service center, they'll say you'll have to pay us 1 crore, and in the 1 crore we'll give you 20 lakhs worth of stock, and then we'll give you 20 lakhs worth of equipment, and then the rest of it, 20 lakhs, remains probably as a security deposit, right? You have no choice to use the brand name, you'll have to pay them. And then they'll keep saying any point of a time you need to have minimum 20 people, any point of a time you need to have a receptionist, you need to have two drivers. Do you actually need the drivers? Nothing you would know, but you would still need to have it, right? So these are the problems. And in fact, there was a McKinsey report which was published along with CII, Confederation of Indian Industries, which says that multi-brand workshops are finding it increasingly difficult. One of the reason, I mean, difficult to survive. One of the reason is the cost of the real estate, cost of manpower, and the sheer amount of money they need to invest. Suppose you borrow 2 crore rupees from the bank. Okay, say you don't have 2 crores with you, you borrow 2 crore rupees from the bank. Your per year interest component alone would be 20 lakhs. Okay, so which is what, almost about 1.6, 1.7 lakhs is your interest component alone. You go in for an EMI, you're looking at 3 to 4 lakh rupee EMI a month if you are getting the 2 crores from a bank loan. Now, I've been in the industry for almost 16 years now. So you ask me, you invest 2 crores and can a workshop generate that kind of a revenue? I would say 6 months in a year, you can generate around 7, 8 lakhs in revenues. Rest of the 6 months, you will fall short. End of the day, at the end of the 1 year period, if you calculate it, unless this 2 crores was already with you, or the workshop space was already with you, the family owned space or something, it doesn't really break even, right? So they find it really really hard. And to further like make it even more harder, what actually is happening, the next problem what is happening is that the kind of cars that we have in the market, and exactly the kind of like mechanics that we get. So every time you go to a workshop, whom do you talk to? You talk to a mechanic, right? Mechanic kind of gives you an idea, right? And you also know how many electronic control units are in the car. If a single fuse is blown, your car is not going to start, your car is not going to run. How do you think a mechanic is going to fix it? For most possible reasons, unless this guy has already encountered that kind of a problem, he will not even know what is happening inside the car. He'll not know what an ECU does. You ask him, okay, how does an ECU control a fuel injector? Do you know what happens? He'll say, sir, line, that's it. A line has to go from ECU to injector, it happens. But do you know what is being done in the line? Do you know what signal goes in it? Do you know if that signal is right or wrong? What happens if a wire has got a small cut? It is touching the body, and because of that the signal is getting corrupted. It can happen, signal can get corrupted. These guys, because they have not found out the wiring fault, they'll say your ECU has gone, right? Imagine you have this kind of a people working for you. You will never be able to do your business, right? You will have to know every single aspect of it. So whether you're going to work as a diagnostics technician or whether you're going to kind of like run your own business, it is extremely important that you understand what kind of an electronics are there, what kind of control modules are there, and without that you would actually not be able to go and like successfully run this thing at all, right? So just another small poll for you guys to kind of like you know have a look at while we continue with the session. You can just vote on the poll. Just a fun poll, nothing else. Just a fun poll, something which could be an eye opener in case you did not know about it. Second problem with automotive repair and diagnostics is one of the common problems in India, and also a problem where uh, for touch wood, not to mean it in the wrong way, but we make a lot of business is with the German cars. German cars and their transmissions are a never-ending field for us, where we make a really lot of money. How many mechanics know how a DSG gearbox works? If a DSG gearbox comes with a problem, how many of them can correctly replace a clutch pack in it? You go with the DSG problem to the showroom, they'll say, sir, 4.5 lakh rupees, sir, 2.5 lakh rupees, replace the entire transmission, replace the mechatronic unit. You bring the car to your garage, you replace the clutch, 80,000 rupees, your car is fixed. It's not 4.5 lakhs. Mechatronic unit problem, you remove it, you service it, repair it, and put it 40,000 to 60,000 rupees. Your mechatronic problem is solved. It's not 2.5 lakh rupees, right? And just because it is costing you 40,000 rupees to fix, you're not going to bill the customer the same thing. You would probably bill the customer about 80,000 or 1 lakh, right? Because I mean, there is something called as you need to kind of like make up for your expertise as well. So typical DSG car with a problematic gearbox, it comes in. We give an estimate of around 2 lakh rupees, and we see nothing less than 30 to 40% margins on it, right? So that's the kind of things you can do if you know how to do it, but in case you don't, then you are literally stuck. The other important thing in order to attempt all these repairs, a DSG repair or anything, is that you need to have the proper tools, right? You need to have proper tools, and I mean you need to have multiple tools. It doesn't mean you can do everything using one single launch scanner. A launch scanner for 1,20,000 rupees is good to have. In case you don't have tools, it's good to have. But if you're doing multiple different vehicles, if you're doing your premium cars and all those things, you need to have multiple such tools, at least 3 or 4 such tools. Say you have a ECU problem, you need to repair it, you need to buy a KTAC. You need to have a control module problem, a J1439 programmer tool is going to cost you 1.5 lakhs. So you need to have a whole set of tools, and only then they would be able to work with it. Now, buying tools is one thing. Suppose you are rich, you have money, you can buy tools, but do you know how to use it? Do you know which tool to use where? And do you know the proper way of using the tool so you don't break the car? These are basically the problems which most of the technicians find, most of the workshops have, and unfortunately there is no right solution for it, because till date there is no college in India where you can go and learn all of these things. You cannot go into a college. The only place I know of maybe is GD Institute in Coimbatore, but even then they are only with the mechanical side of things. They don't do the control modules and those things. So there is no single educational place where you can go and you can tell them, teach me all this, learn and come out. There doesn't exist a place like that, right? And because of it, this is basically like where the workshops face a problem, and therein lies the opportunity for you as well, right? So if you are starting out as a basic trained mechanic come diagnostics technician, you're looking at making somewhere around 25 to 30,000 rupees an annum at the minimum, right? So which is roughly about 3.6 lakhs. So 3.6 to 4 lakhs is what you're looking at making if you are a trained mechanic with electrical and electronic problem diagnostics capability. I'm talking about you going and joining OEM service center, like say Hyundai or Maruti or something like that. They will definitely pay you 25 to 30K at the bare minimum, right? So everything else on top, all the incentives and bonuses that apart, you're looking at making around 4 lakhs per annum to start with. And are you aware that the current mechanical engineering, at least to the best of my knowledge, the companies, the majority of the companies who pick up these guys, they pick them up for somewhere between 1.8 to 2 lakhs per annum is what they pick them up, right? And 2.5 to 3 lakhs is become the median price for an engineering graduate these days. I'm not kidding about it. You can check it out. That's become the median price for graduate engineering interns. Of course, we do have programs where we try to train engineering students as well, but I'm just trying to compare it. So, by no means is a diagnostics technician's job less than an engineering job. It is kind of in a lot of ways better than even your engineering jobs, right? And it always comes with a free upgrade, right? You work somewhere as a mechanic for 2 to 3 years. Next year, you can become a freelancer. You have all these customers, you go to them, you do the diagnostics, you give it, and these people who have a bike and maybe a couple of scan tools, they bring in around 6 to 8 lakh rupees per annum, right? This is a freelancer will probably have 2 to 3 years of experience. And if you want to take it the next step, right, so you say, okay, this is all fine, I want to take it to the next step. Then if you're typically thinking of becoming a mobile service technician, then you shoot up into the next price bracket. You make something starting at 15 lakhs per annum that becomes a business for you. So you start at about 15 lakhs per annum, and you have 2 3 service technicians working for you. You make revenues of about, I'm not talking about income, it becomes revenues in that case when you have multiple people working under you. So you become a mini business by yourself, and you clock 45 to 50 lakh rupees in revenues, right? So this is the opportunity. So I'm just trying to like go back again and stress on the point that this is something which is growing by leaps and bounds, especially seeing the number of startups which are doing mobile services. So Go Mechanic, you probably know of Freddy SS. So these are companies which are basically like investing a lot of money to get into this field, and they do that only if it is extremely lucrative, right? And that is how lucrative this field is, and this is how even a trained technician can make money, right? When the field per se is making a lot of money, then everyone involved in the field also makes money, right? But what are the challenges in this, right? I said you can make 4 lakhs, but what are the challenges in this? So some challenges, the primary challenge I would say is you need to go from your mechanic mindset, and you need to understand electrical systems, electronic systems. I say computers, but basically what I mean is the software code and things which is there, because you need to do some coding and those things, and you also need to understand about controllers. So you're not just a mechanic, but you are an electrical engineer, a part-time electronic engineer, part-time computer engineer, and a part-time ECE engineer. Sounds very difficult, but it's basically like just some experience that you need, right? So someone teaches you the right way, which is what we do. You basically, like, from a mechanical background, or for someone who understands only the mechanical side of things, you move and you start gathering expertise in the electrical systems, electronic systems, coding and all those related things, as well as the control modules. That's the first challenge that you face, but I'm also telling you how you could face that challenge. Next, you need to understand what tool to use for which car. You cannot go use a generic tool for all the cars. You cannot buy a 650 rupee OBD dongle and you cannot work with it commercially. It is good as a stopgap arrangement, or if you don't have any other tool, it is okay. But if you want to start working, you need to understand what are the original tools, right? Original tools you can also purchase. So you need to have VCDS, you need to have Forscan, you need to have Otis, you need to have Xentry, you need to have INPA. There's quite a lot of different tools which are available, and you basically need to know like which tool to use for what purpose and how do you use that tool, right? Because each tool looks and feels a bit different. So some basic idea about, okay, this is the tool, this is the tool I need to use for this car. You need to have that kind of an idea. Now, imagine if you are not just trying to work, but you are trying to start your own business or something. Then at that part, quite a lot more of other things come into play. So if you're starting your own business, you need to have access to quality spare parts. Spares is okay with maybe regular cars, but as you go higher up in the value chain, maybe you have a Volkswagen, you need to get a new DSG clutch pack for it. That is not something which you will get anywhere else. right? You need to have special purpose tool to install it. You might not get that everywhere. So you need to have access to quality spares, both old and new, because sometimes, let's be very frank and very clear about it, this is India. I might have bought an old BMW for 10 lakhs, but I will not go and spend 1.5 lakhs on a clutch pack for that particular vehicle. I'll come to you and say, can you do this for maybe, I don't want to spend 1.5 on a new one. Can you source me a used one for 60 or 70K? You will have to, kind of basically work with those customers as well. And at that point, you will definitely need old spare parts, and you need to know where to go pick it up from. You need to know which module to pick it up from. Two different part numbers, are they going to be compatible? So these are all the things where you would need support. Now, the next thing is, in case you get a very complex problem, I'm not saying that all problems will be straightforward. Sometimes it can be an extremely complex problem. So, in that case, you need to have people who can actually support you. So, unless someone tells, okay, this seems to be a problem like this, do the scan, tell me the result, do this, these are the steps, you need to have someone to guide you. And even till date, even today, I wouldn't say I am a complete expert in automotive diagnostics. I've done reasonably well in diagnostics, but there are still cases where I'm stuck for 1 month, 1.5 months without knowing what's happening with the car. Customers are shouting at you. I don't know whom to go ask. We have some personnel who kind of support us with it. So we go to them, we tell them, okay, this is what has happened. How do you think we can fix it? So basically, you need to have access to that kind of an intellectual capital, and you also need to have some means, either someone who can give you spare parts and accessories on credit, or someone who can immediately ship it the next day, or some kind of an arrangement for it. Because any customer comes to you and says, hey, I want to fix a speaker on my car, you either have it in stock with you, you take it and sell it to him, or you tell him, okay, I'll fix it tomorrow for you. You come tomorrow, you'll have to immediately close the deal. You tell him, okay, I'll need 15 days to source it. He's not going to come back to you, right? You lose a lot of business like that. So why is this important? Is because every time you run an automotive service business, right, what you would also have to do is, you'll have to kind of offer some value added services as well. Because a service might just get you a bill of 1,000 rupees, but if you tell him, hey, I can wash your car, do you want to wash your car, I can wax it as well, I can also do an interior cleaning, will you want to do it? Like, yeah, okay, why not? So then you bill 2,500 for it. Service was 1,000. Other things is 2,500. You anyways get to make more money, right? So very often what happens is, people do combine a lot of other services as well along with their automotive service. So at Train Lab, at Sirius Motorsports, that's what we started off as our workshop. What we were doing is, we offer remaps and performance parts. So they know, the customers know, they come to us, they don't just get their car serviced, but they can do a remap. Or someone comes and does a remap and then they come back to us for servicing. Or there are still people who still call my guys to come and wash and polish their car at least once a month. They're like, it's become a habit for them. They're like, okay, you're no longer in Coimbatore, you're living in Chennai, but I still want you to come here and do it. We still oblige them, we still try to keep them engaged. So these are basically like things where you don't have to just go with one single way out of this. There are multiple opportunities which kind of present for you once you are in the servicing sector. So now, what exactly can Rain Lab do for that, right? So this is basically like what the whole webinar is all about. So I've told you how big a market this servicing sector is, and basically what is it that Rain Lab offers as a service. So starting, of course, the first point for anything is to give you quality training, right? Quality training to carry out the regular service as well as repair job. So there are two things, don't confuse between them. Servicing is only where you do oil service, brake service, air filter change, maybe some relatively small things, right? Whereas a repair job is anything where you need to put it on a two-post lift, dismantle things, and then repair. So that's a repair job. So we offer training for both of it, starting with the diagnostics course is for servicing and diagnostics, but we also have add-on modules which add repair jobs as well, right? And once you're done with the course, say suppose you want to purchase tools, we can help you purchase tools. So you don't go make a necessarily bad judgment and you probably pick up a tool for 75,000 and then realize that you should have picked up something for 95,000. So that 20,000 at that point will not matter because your 75,000 is not helping you do your work. So we help you do that, or in some cases we also arrange for you to loan out tools. Like say for example, like if you're anywhere in Bangalore, Chennai, Coimbatore, so where we have just started out, say you need access to a tool and you don't have it. Say you got a BMW in your garage, you don't have a BMW OEM tool. I can help you go borrow this tool from someone, scan your car, finish your work, go give it back to him. Of course, you'll have to pay a marginal amount as usage charges, but you still don't have to purchase the tool for 1.5 lakhs. So that's the support which we give. And we also give you a complete support in terms of spare parts and accessories. So you want to start your own remap garage along with your workshop, we can help you with it. You want to import performance parts, you name the brand, we are in touch with them. We are either a part of them or we are kind of working very closely with them. Any part, anywhere in the country, anywhere across the world, we can help you arrange for that, right? And for more complex problems, what we can also do is, we can arrange for a technician from our side to come visit your place and help you like get the problem solved, right? So that is also something which we do. And how the course basically works is like this. So this is a 30-day offline training program at Chennai, right? So though we do have some online modules, you will come to the garage in Chennai, and for those 30 days, right? Not technically 30 days, but yeah, it's 5 days a week, 4 weeks, so it's about 20 days. But Saturdays you would be working on the car. Actually, you will not be learning. So that's part of the internship what you do. So the 30 days you will be in Chennai, you will be working on the cars, and you will be learning at our garage. And once you are done with the course, you can also choose to add on some optional modules. Suppose you say, no, I'm going to like completely concentrate on workshop plus vehicle detailing. I need to know how to polish a car, how to do a ceramic coating. I need to know how to do a wrap on a car. We have an add-on module for it. You want to get into control module coding, we have a module for it. You want to become engine and transmission repair, we have that. You want ECU tuning and remaps, we have that. So basically, this is something where you set a base as a workshop, you find a place for customers to come in or for you to go to customers, and you branch out from there, offer them multiple services, right? And also, like once you complete the course, say you say that no, I don't want to start my own business, I want to go work somewhere, then we are in the process of tying up with multiple partners across the country. These are people who are currently facing a very big supply demand gap, right? So they need a lot of trained people, they hardly get anyone, they make do, they don't get proper people. So we're working with them and we can get you placement assistance, probably at your own city in the country, right? So it's not like you come to Chennai and learn, we'll only place you in Chennai. We can place you in Bangalore, we can place you in Bhopal, or we can place you in Delhi. There's quite a lot of things which we are working on, which kind of makes this simpler for us, right? But that is placement assistance, not a guarantee at this point. But okay, we don't guarantee, but I'm just saying a very big but. Last month, I think we had a requirement for 6 trained technicians to be placed in Bangalore. So these things do come in, and when that happens, it basically becomes a placement guarantee. But placement guarantees, it's a very flexible demand which comes in, and usually after you complete the course within a period of 2 to 3 months max, I'm talking about max come max, you will be able to find placement through one of our partners, right? That's the first thing for you. Second thing, suppose you are starting your own garage, then we can give you end-to-end support on it. Or suppose if this is something which is of interest to you, you can also think of working with Rain Labs as a Rainworks franchisee. So Rainworks is basically our mobile servicing center model which we are building. So if you're interested, once you have completed the course, you'll work with our team and we'll set up this franchisee for you. So what exactly this franchisee does is something like this. So you remember I said that to set up an average garage, you need to invest about 1.5 to 2 crores. Whereas with this, you don't need to do that. You invest maybe a fraction of the amount, maybe 10 lakhs, maybe 15 lakhs. You will be able to set up a mobile vehicle servicing. And the advantage with this model is that you basically don't do any advertisement, no marketing, nothing for you. All the advertisement and marketing is taken care of centralized by RainLab. We will do the market, we'll acquire the customer, we'll fix the appointment, and we'll tell you, okay, go here and do this. You basically dry down there. you get those cars serviced, you come back. And since it's mobile, you are not exactly fixed to a place as well. So like I said, I'm probably in the north western part of northwestern part of Chennai, which means I cannot go down south and service, because how do I go there, how do I bring cars here? I cannot go beyond a 5 kilometer range of where my workshop is located. But with a mobile service center, you can basically cover the whole of the city in which you are operating, right? So which means you get more money, you get like more business, like whichever city that you're basically working in. The second and the most important thing is, RainLab does not charge you a deposit charge, right? We don't kind of hold your money with us and say you do this and only then we'll do. No, we don't do that, right? And whatever money you make on the labor charges, whatever we charge to the customer, the entire thing comes to you, and we also give you a margin on whatever parts that we supply to you, right? Which means you are essentially running it as your own business, but under the Rainworks brand. And where we make our money is on distributing the parts, right? So you know that anyways you'll have to go to a dealer and purchase a spare part, right? So there we become the dealer, and we make our money distributing the parts alone. And all you guys do is you buy the parts from us. You don't have to stock it wherever you are. We keep shipping it out to you, so you don't stock on the parts. You just do this and you start doing your servicing work. So now this is an exciting alternative for you if you're looking at starting your own business as well, because you'll need a minimum of about 30-40 lakhs to start a very bare minimum 2,000, 3,000 square feet of garage. Whereas with the same investment, imagine running 3 mobile servicing vans covering the entire city, right? You will not be able to do that kind of a volumes in the first 2 years in your garage, no matter what you do. And after the 2 years, you can increase the number of vans you have. You can basically go on increasing that until the market is saturated, right? Once it reaches saturation, we'll probably stop it. But once it gets saturated, until it gets saturated, you can keep on reinvesting your money and basically run a whole suite of this mobile servicing vans, which is going to go all around the place and get this servicing done for you, right? So this is the third option for you. So basically this is about how different things work. Either we help you with placements, or we help you set up your own offline workshop, or we help you get our franchisee, and basically work a win-win for every one of you, right? So how you do this, how you start off with this, now that I've excited, I mean, I've kind of like elaborated on all the courses, is very simply this. um, the offline course, we had some prices earlier. You would have seen it on our website. It was priced at 49,999 and all. So now everything is slashed down. It's come down to 25,000 rupees for the offline program. This is primarily because we are trying to like build our customer base, and we're also looking at launching our Rainworks initiative. So for that reason, we are slashing it down to 25,000 rupees. And as a first thing, as a ways of like trying to like gauge interest in doing it, we are just opening it to just 50 people here, right? It's not going to be more than 50 people. It's going to be like less than 50 people in this. And the course is also available to you at a highly discounted rate as well. So now if you are interested in pursuing this, then all you'll have to do is get on our poll and just click yes, ask your team to contact me, and one of our team members, either Raj or Hari, will again call you. And if you're still not if you're still not like convinced about the whole model, if you want to kind of like still like talk to me or talk to one of our team and try to understand more about it, we would be more than happy. You can just post your questions out there, and we would be more than happy to kind of like answer that as well for you, right? So please do fill up your interest on it, so we understand if you are interested, if we have to get back to you on that. And that brings us to the end of the discussion. So any questions you have, I am here. I mean, I can take your questions. I think we have another 10-20 minutes, right? So let me take the questions. I think we have 3 questions. What is the automotive? I mean, how is automotive diagnostics different from ECU tuning? See, ECU tuning only teaches you how to get into the ECU and do things, right? Though you do learn about automotive wiring and things, it does not give you a hands-on experience. But if you are learning diagnostics is covering pretty much all the things, and also bits and pieces about what the ECU exactly is doing. In fact, if you look at our curriculum, it will say it will have modules on sensors, actuators, control modules. You do all of those things, but you don't practice ECU tuning. That's it, right? But otherwise, it is kind of like it is kind of like there's a lot of common things between ECU tuning and diagnostics, but they're not exactly the same course. When you speak about tools, cheap tools like OBD11, $600. Um, OBD11 is not 600. OBD11, I think, is about 11,000 or 12,000. I mean, 12,000 rupees. VCDS tool is like basically all the clone tools that you get. VCDS for 3,500, 4,000 works with up to about 2015, 2016 cars. The new cars, it doesn't work. And another problem with the clone VCDS is it doesn't do all the clutch alignment and all of those things properly. So that's basically the primary problem. So say you have a new Octavia which comes in. I'll tell this to you from a customer point of view. Say you're a customer, you go to a workshop, and they say like, I don't have the tool for it, or they say that my tool doesn't exactly support this, or you look at it and the tool is all old and you kind of don't get that genuine feel in it, then the customer is not going to trust you. So the reason why I suggest you invest in original tools, see, it's not that I don't use clone tools. I have a clone VCDS as well, but certain times, I mean, whenever like something like urgent needs to be done, I also have a genuine VCDS. So we kind of like use the tools appropriately wherever it is needed, right? It is. And what's the VCDS purpose? Some people use for enabling content with this. See, the VCDS basically like is used for coding your control modules, diagnostics and coding your control modules. So we have an extensive session on VCDS, using VCDS in the course, where you can learn all about unlocking features, adapting features, and all of those things. The detailing add-on, it would be like we are in the process of like getting this created. So we have still not been able to figure out our partnerships with respect to the chemicals. So depending on the chemicals partnerships we enter into, because you'll have to practice with your own hand. So based on that, the course fees would be somewhere between 15 to 20,000 rupees for it. It will be a 3 to 4 day course. We'll cover everything from wet sanding, micro polishing, finishing, waxing, ceramic coats, paint protection films, wraps. Will kind of cover the entire thing on that. Okay. The timing for the course, I mean, Shamnaik, it is a full-time course in Chennai. So we plan it from 10 o'clock until 5 in the evening. So 10 to 5, where the first half of the day you learn something, second half of the day you work in the garage on those systems and you get some hands-on with it. So if you already have a job, then what we can probably suggest you to do is to try taking up one of our other courses, because this is highly hands-on. Unless you do it hands-on, you are not going to be able to pick up these skills, right? So which is why like we have made sure that this is going to be like highly hands-on. Two more questions. After, do I require any minimum qualification? uh, After, no. The only qualification you need is you need to understand what we are trying to teach you. So if you can understand English, any of the local languages, Tamil, Malayalam, Hindi, we can manage, but as you understand, being from Chennai, we are not that good with Hindi. But as long as you understand one of these languages, you are good to go. There is no qualification, there is no minimum requirement. You need to be 18 years plus. We get into trouble otherwise, but nothing else. There's no minimum qualification for this. You do not have an online diagnostics course. Mindful, like, no, like the thing is, we cannot make it online. How do we teach you to kind of go and splice a wire? How do we teach you to use a multimeter online? It doesn't work. We can, of course, show you videos, but the real crux of the issue is that you have to work with your own hands and get that thing. See, as a diagnostics technician, you'll have to know how to solder wires. So how do we basically teach you that? Right. So that is the problem we are facing. Not that we are not wanting to offer it online, but it's kind of like a little difficult because of that. You try to get in, but I cannot be in Chennai. Any online courses? Shriram, yes. Raj, will I can ask Raj to get in touch with you. We do have other allied courses which are online, so we can possibly help you with that. And maybe I think what I can also do is Raj, like just check if for people who want the diagnostics course online, maybe we can offer whatever modules we can offer online. We can offer that online, and maybe depending on the city where you are, we'll see if we can arrange for because I mean I'm part of the Code 6 remap network as well. So what I can do is I can see if I can maybe get you to go there and maybe do some hands-on over there as well. So if you are interested, just to answer on the poll, or you can also post a message here in the chat box or something. I'll check on this and I'll get back to you. So for those of you who are asking for online, I think we'll try to do it that way. I'll try to arrange for it at a friend's place or something like that. Okay, you are Pondicherry. Okay, great. Nothing. You are always welcome then. You can just drop by. So we are in Porur. You can drop by anytime, and I'll also like if needed, I can also help you get a paying guest accommodation. So great to know about that, After. Super. Will there be another batch? Yes, Dinadayalan. What you can do is you can talk to basically talk to Raj, and you can get your confirmation done, and I'll probably like ask Raj to probably like book you in for the next one. Yes. Okay. Just give me a second. You want the Just give me a second. So I'm just posting a poll right now. So just basically to understand how many of you here want to do this online. So if in case there is sufficient interest in the online, and we'll get back in touch with you, and you let us know basically which city you are at, and we'll try to like arrange for something based on that, right? Um, So those of you who have voted for the online option, can you please type out in the chat box which city you guys are from? So there are three of you who have voted for the online option. So can you please type out the city name? Harshil, yes, you can come down and do that. Yes, that can be done, and we can arrange for a paying guest accommodation now that everything is open. We can do that. Directly to work with Rain Labs workshop. Yes, Aftab, we do have a requirement right now. Maybe one or two of them we can absorb you here as well. Um, sure. So Mayanko, yes, we can work that out. Like I'll check what we can do about that. We'll see. I need to basically understand how to handle it. I'll basically try to do that. So I think that brings us to the end of the session. No more questions. If there is any more questions, you have my contact number there. You have my email address there. You can drop me a message, or you can drop a message to Raj. Raj's number, I'll ask him to put it in the chat box. You can basically like get in touch with Raj, if you can just put your contact details there. Yes, so you can get in touch with Raj, or you can also get in touch with me, and do let us know how we can help you out with this, right? So I think, any more questions? um, okay, I think that's it then, right? Yuvraj, Hyderabad, we can help you out. Hands-on in Hyderabad can be arranged, shouldn't be a problem. Which part of Hyderabad are you in? Gachibowli, somewhere if you're close to that, we can arrange for a hands-on very close to that. After, I'll have to ask Raj to get back to you on it. I'll have him call you up and talk to you. Okay, Indonesia. See, okay, that's going to be a problem out of India. But we are planning to launch a program with the government of Malaysia. So the HRD department, I think, like it's going to happen in the next couple of months. Indonesia, I'm sorry, unfortunately, we don't have an option for that, right? But we'll definitely stay in touch. Raj, maybe you can get in touch with him and see like what we can do about the Indonesian market, right? So Deepak, thanks a lot for that. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining in.